live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, the Denice Gary Show. Now, here's Denice Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denice Gary Show. It's just such an honor to have a veteran that has served the United States and the United States Army there in Vietnam. We have Sheriff Youngblood, a veteran, an FBI National Academy graduate, someone that's worked in law enforcement for over 30 years trying to protect the people of Kern County.
I wish it was only 30.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I'm looking at the biographical synopsis that's available on the internet. So it says over 30. So we want to say thank you for taking the time, first of all, to come in and talk to us on the Denice Gary Show. I want to begin today. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Youngblood was, it's my understanding, invited to be a part of the president's team to go down to the southern border here in California. I believe it was Calexico, California.
Yes.
And take a look at what's going on. And basically, I think my first question is, I wanted you to tell us how that invitation came about. I think people would be curious to know.
About a week ago, I've been in the White House before, several times under Obama and President Trump. About a week ago, I got a call from the White House asking if I could put the Central Valley sheriffs together to come to the border and stand with the president in support of securing our border. And I said I certainly feel I can do that. And I called Sheriff Mims from Fresno County, Sheriff Dave Robinson from Kings County, and Sheriff Mike Boudreaux from Tulare County. And we all went down to the border and met with the president and in support of securing our borders.
All right, wonderful. So you got the call about a week ago. Now, what you say, you've been to the White House before with the president. Is the president of the United States, just thinking about him as a leader, it seems like he really does reach out to individuals to get their feedback. Has that been your experience?
It is. And, you know, the other three sheriffs that went with me the other day, I explained to them that this president will give us an opportunity to, when he's talking, when he's through, to respond to his statements, which no other president would ever do. But
no other president gives you an opportunity.
That's right. He will say, not knowing what you're going to say, because we're not given a script. Okay. I don't work off scripts. Right. I don't carry one, and I speak from the heart. And when the president got through with his speech the other day, he turned and he said, "Would you all like to say something?" And I said, "Yeah, I certainly would." And I know Sheriff Napier from Arizona, who has 125 miles of the southern border in his county, would want to say something as well. And so that's when I made my comments. So
this is what Sheriff Youngblood said, ladies and gentlemen. He said, "We feel this impact, i.e. the impact of illegal immigration." We're not talking about people coming here lawfully, legally. We're talking about illegal aliens crossing the border, breaking United States laws. And Sheriff Youngblood, I have here quote, and please correct me if they've misquoted you in any way. Sheriff Youngblood has stated for the record, "We feel this impact from 400 miles away. Each of us have experienced heinous crimes that are committed by people in our country illegally. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank this president for doing the right thing and standing up for law enforcement in this country. It is greatly appreciated, and I just wanted you to know that." That's beautiful.
You know, I felt like this president is criticized when he gets up in the morning. Yeah, I'm sure the way he gets up is criticized. That there's very few people that stand up and say, "Thank you for doing what you're doing," and we all like that reassurance that we're doing the right thing. And does this president do all the right things? Of course not. No president in history ever will.
Does?
but if you look at where we're headed in the right direction. Yes. And I wanted him to know that we sheriffs throughout the Central Valley support him, support securing the border, and that we were there for that purpose. And I had the opportunity to say that to him, to shake his hand and to hand him one of my coins, which he gladly took. And he went down the line and shook everybody's hand that was there, every officer, every sheriff that was there. And then after I spoke, Sheriff Napier from Arizona, he spoke. And he very eloquently talked about the southern border and how if people don't believe there's a crisis there, they're being dishonest because there's an absolute crisis on the border.
I wanted to ask you, the Border Patrol Chief, Gloria Chavez, was there with Sheriff Youngblood and the President of the United States, and she made a statement to reporters. She said that just in these 2 miles where you were located, she stated, our assaults have dropped by 65%. Just having the 2-mile border wall fence right there, assaults have dropped by 65%. What does that exactly mean?
Well,
assaults.
Assault can be a fist fight, and it can also be a shooting.
Okay. Anywhere from a fist fight to a shooting. Okay.
But what she was saying, and she's very articulate, and I think she does a great job. What she was saying, the old border fence was easily scalable.
Okay.
I mean, anyone could come over, and at night they would come over, they'd go to the bars, and then they had a lot of assaults, a lot of issues. Now it's over 30 feet tall. And you can't, they've had people try and climb it. Some of them have fallen off and gotten seriously injured. So there's a deterrent to not come across that. So what they're doing now, as they're building the wall, I was talking to the Border Patrol, they're actually taking taxi cabs down to the end of the fence where they're building.
These are illegals.
In Mexico.
Taking taxi cabs in Mexico.
To the end of the border fence where they then walk around and claim asylum. And of course, once they're in our country, once they're on our soil, they become ours for a period of time. So it's a flawed system. There's no question about it. And I think that in securing the border takes on a lot of different meanings. It's not just a border wall.
I understand.
It's much bigger than that.
Right.
And
what do you mean by that? It's much bigger than that.
Well, for example, having a law that says if once they touch our soil, we can't turn around and say go back. We should be able to.
We should be able to.
If somebody comes in your home, and a salesperson, you have the right to tell them, hey, leave. And I think that we're kind of missing the boat, and we just need to. Our laws are archaic, and they were designed for many years ago, and I think we need to readdress that. And
this is what the president
technology that we have today is incredible, and we should use that technology. Use our Border Patrol agents. Use that secure fence and secure our border.
Drones are really important.
There was a drone there.
Okay, great.
Secret Service took exception to the drone that came out of Mexico because we actually had sea trains. We were so close to the border that you could throw a rock at us, but we had sea trains in a horseshoe to protect the president while he was there, so that because they didn't want us to walk up to the wall because someone could really do you harm through the fence. And no one would ever know who that was. So it was an interesting trip, and I think I learned a lot. I learned that this is more than a crisis. It's a growing crisis, and for us to continue to ignore it, this is going to end very badly for our country.
The president has said many times that he'd like to see the loopholes in the asylum law change. You know, the president has talked about how people are literally coached from their home countries, places like El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, the Northern Triangle states, that they're being coached down there and they're being told what to say in order to get to the border, get into the United States. You have knowledge of this.
Well, we're actually worse in California than any place else, quite honestly. In my jail, if someone's in the country illegally and the ICE agent wants to speak with them, we have to have a deputy go ask them if they want to speak with them. Here's a form to sign, and of course they check no, because they don't want to talk to them, so we can't let ICE talk to them. What they don't understand is ICE only deports about 60% of the people they talk to, so it'd be your benefit to talk to them, but we don't get into that dialogue. We're not immigration agents.
Why is it important, Sheriff Youngblood, for ICE to talk to these people that have come here illegally? And based on what you just said, why is it only about 60% that are deported?
Well, because manpower. They don't have the manpower,
Okay.
so they're taking the worst of the worst.
All right, they're going after the
Yes.
really bad people.
But what really is most important to me, and I think to most sheriffs, is to know who they are, who's in our country. We have people that come in and have been arrested before under different names.
Right.
That's problematic for law
Yes.
enforcement and problematic for keeping our communities safe, and that's what's most important to sheriffs in our country.
And it's problematic in education because I deal with it as an educator.
I'm sure you do.
And it's really unfortunate. Okay, next question. You've heard that the President of the United States has really requested on numerous occasions that Congress act. Why do you think that the Republicans have refused to do what it takes? I know that, for that first couple years, we had a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. What happened? Do you know? Did you talk to Kevin McCarthy?
I've not talked to Congressman McCarthy in depth about immigration because it's really not my role.
Right.
And I don't want to get too deep into immigration.
Okay.
I did speak with Kirsten Nielsen while I was down there.
And what did she say?
I could tell that something wasn't right because I told her that I encouraged her to stay on. I encouraged her because I think that she had the right ideas, maybe not as strong as the president wanted, but I suggested that she hang in there, that we appreciated her, and she kind of just gave me a blank stare, which told me that there was something going on that was really none of my concern, and so I changed the conversation.
Right.
But
okay.
This is really, really an important issue for us to talk about.
Yes.
And you can't ignore it and make it go away.
No, you can't. Final word, do you have any final message you'd like to get out there to the public with respect to your meeting with the president and what you saw down there?
Well, I was surprised our Congressman McCarthy was there with him in support.
Was so glad, and I was so glad
it surprised me that when he walked up, I was actually speaking. When out of the corner of my eye, I saw Kevin come up.
Yeah.
And it felt good, because you're in hostile territory with some people. We had 500 protesters on each side down there, and
you did.
Oh yeah, they follow him.
They follow the president. Every step of the way.
But there was just as many supporters in Calexico as there was people that weren't. So.
Good. That's wonderful. I so appreciate. I want to add to what you said. I so appreciate the fact that Congressman McCarthy was down there too, and I believe he's been down there before, and he has a good idea of what's going on. And of course we need everybody we can in Congress to move on it. And
to answer your question, Congress, and whether it's Democrat or Republican, their number one priority is to stay in office. And that's their biggest flaw. They should be in this for the right reasons. Make your decisions based on what you think is right for our country. And if you don't win re-election, there's other things to do.
Right, there are.
And I do it as the sheriff, and I think everybody that's an elected official ought to stand on that premise when you get up in the morning. I'm going to do the right thing for my country and for my community, even if it's not beneficial to me.
As a faith person, a believer, I always think to myself when I get up in the morning, I'm accountable to God first, and I've got to do my very best. I've got to be the best that I possibly can for each and every day, because ultimately I'll be held accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important that all of us keep sight of that. And I think I wanted to ask one other question and mention something within the context of the question. We've talked before about the work that the Kern County Sheriff's Department and you as the leader of the Sheriff's Department in terms of counterterrorism measures. Did anything come up, just curious, as someone that's been a Middle East specialist, had top secret clearances, that was my field for several years. Did anything come up on the trip with regards to counterterrorism measures and why it was so important to know and vet these people who are coming across illegally? Because I do know, having had top secret clearances, that individuals coming from the Middle East will often they look like and can appear to be, learn the Spanish language and come in as quote unquote Latinos, Hispanics,
Right.
whatever the politically correct term is these days, I'm not sure, and come in and begin to establish cell groups here in California and across the country. Did that come up at all?
It came up only with the sheriffs that
Okay.
we were in conversation. We all get everything you just said about
Okay.
vetting people, how important it is to know who they really are.
Right.
Or we're going to wind up with terrorist events occurring from within our country of a large scale.
Right.
And if we keep ignoring this, we're going to see this in a large city.
Exactly.
And it's frightening that people have their head in the sand as if this isn't going to happen.
Right.
The roadmap is there for us.
Right.
If you talk to people in Israel, the generals,
Which
they
I do.
They will tell you the roadmap is right in front of you.
Yeah, I do, and I appreciate you saying that. You know, one of the things that really concerned me is that moss in America, moss in California, that 70% of the money that funds these terrorist groups and helps bring individuals into the country and encourage their work and arm them and train them comes from American moss, 70% of the resources. And it's a serious concern, and I know there are cell groups here in California, and I know they're across the country, and I just imagine you're very busy.
I think we need to stop being politically correct.
I do too.
That's our problem. We're afraid we're going to offend someone, and we're going to offend a lot of people.
We have to tell the truth.
We do.
And that's the bottom line.
It is.
And that's one of the reasons why I love having you on the broadcast, because
My
I believe
pleasure.
you're a truth teller, and I am as well. Sheriff Youngblood, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast.
My pleasure.
We
I
really
enjoy
appreciate
it
it.
every time.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we want to thank Sheriff Youngblood and all he has done to help protect and keep us safe here in Kern County. And we've got to go to a commercial break. We've got to pay the bills. We'll be right back. Thank you.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go, Frugatti's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugoletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugatti's Restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugatti's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugatti's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugoletti that Denice sent you. Salute! Buon appetito!
Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to legal matters, contact Barb Reynolds. She is a contract paralegal to lawyers, and she will take good care of you. Moreover, she is a Kern County legal document assistant to pro per litigants. She has 47 years of paralegal experience, and for over 30 years has been an educator in the field of law and paralegal work. If you need help handling your adoption, bankruptcy, civil suit, divorce, debt consolidation, evictions, immigration, or attorney referrals, contact Barb Reynolds if you want to win your case. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994. Barb is simply the best. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thrilled I've got the owner of Sculpt 365 Fitness here with me today, Craig Jansen, Navy veteran. Craig, tell the audience out there why everybody in town needs to come up over here and join.
Well, Sculpt 365 is a 24-hour club, so we never close, unlike a lot of other clubs here in town. Additionally, our club is always super clean, and one of the things that you're going to find here is a different environment where we strive to give you a VIP experience here. So we want to get to know you, we want to know your story, we want to know about you and how we can help you succeed and meet all of your fitness goals.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, come on down to Scope 365 Fitness. You're located right here on Brim Hall. Tell us your other locations.
We have another location up in Tehachapi, and then our third location here in town is also located over on Chester and Columbus in the Food Mac Shopping Center.
Thank you so much, Craig. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denise Gary Show. It's always just such an honor to talk to Sheriff Youngblood, and we do appreciate. There's so many things that he does, and you know, the fact that he's always willing to talk to me about his counterterrorism with respect to Islamic terrorists here in California. I really appreciate that. In case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, again, I've said it before on this broadcast, and for those that may be listening for the first time, I want to mention again, one of the reasons why the border fence, as they call it now, is going so very far deep into the ground is because of the tunnels that Iranian-backed Hezbollah forces, that's a terrorist organization, it's on the United States State Department's website or list of terrorists, for the list of terrorist groups. You can see it there. In fact, I understand that the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, is finally on the terrorist list. Of course, we want to thank President Trump for that, because the IRGC has killed many Americans, and the IRGC is involved with terrorist operations around the world. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is an extension of the Iranian military, and the United States government has had to deal with them again on numerous occasions. That's all I can say. On numerous occasions, in various locations, and they're a nasty group. And so I want to thank you, President Trump, and your administration, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, for making that happen. Now, not only is Hezbollah the party of God, but the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps terrorist group, is now on the State Department's terror watch list. And that's so important. Anyway, it's time to... Did I mention, I said something about the tunnels just now, right?
Yeah, just
okay.
briefly.
So I don't think I finished that. So I mentioned that the Hezbollah is helping build those tunnels into the United States. I want you to know that specifically California, those tunnels have been built into California, just like, and this is the point I meant to make earlier, Hamas, the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, has built tunnels, deep tunnels underground into Israel. And again, that is backed by Iran. Really important that you understand that whether it's, you know, halfway around the world in the Middle East or right there on Mexico's border with California, the Iranians have a growing footprint in the world. In fact, they've been down there working with Cuba's communist government, Iranian forces, Russian forces, Chinese forces. I was shocked when a Democrat running for president, the president of Starbucks, said in an interview on the news that, well, China isn't an enemy nation. And I'm thinking, just because President Trump talks to Putin or talks with the president of China, just because he talks to the chairman or the president of North Korea, the president understands these are enemy nations. He understands that about China all too well. In fact, China's been heavily involved in building up its military over the last 10, 15 years and literally creating islands in the South China Seas for who knows what, right? wink, wink. Who knows why are they building military bases out on islands in the South China Seas and are telling Japan they have no right to these areas in the South China Sea that Japan's been involved in for years. Anyway, getting way off course here, but just wanted to mention that, you know, we've got Iranian terror groups operating in the Western Hemisphere of the world, whether it's in Venezuela, the Northern Triangle states, or other parts of Central America and Mexico. And that's important, which goes to the point of why it's so important that President Trump get his fence, that he gets his wall, that he gets his drones, that he gets the equipment and the technology that he needs to vet. You can love people that are poor, that really probably don't have a lot to contribute to the United States in terms of the fact that they don't speak English, they don't have an education. Not everybody, not everyone, but most of the people that I see and I deal with, and most of the people that a lot of others deal with and see, are people that maybe have a 6th grade education and know nothing about the English language and have no job skills, except, of course, manual labor. But we're automizing a lot here in the United States, and we're moving from increasingly from, you know, things like dishwashers, you know, people that hand wash your dishes and dry them, to, you know, machines that do all that for you. There's a lot of automation, a lot more computer skills that are needed, engineering skills that are needed here in the United States. Why not base immigration on merit and the kinds of contributions you can make if you're invited and allowed into the United States of America, which is an honor. It's not a right. It's an honor and a privilege. And I think people need to think about immigration in that way, that it's an honor and a privilege to be able to immigrate to the United States and take advantage of the opportunities here. And I think that's incredibly important. Okay, moving on. I've got a few more minutes in this segment. I just couldn't believe that I saw this report that Planned Parenthood has pressured the state of California's Health and Human Services Agency to the point that they have basically said that they expect again, this is the California Health and Human Services Agency, has been put under tremendous pressure by Planned Parenthood to change its policies in order to force religious groups, Jews and Christians, and churches, and religious universities, like, for example, Loyola Marymount, talks about another university, Santa Clara University. Apparently, Planned Parenthood found out that under the current laws, that these religious groups and churches and universities do not have to pay, employees do not have to pay for a third party's abortion. And Planned Parenthood was really upset about it. And one of the chief legal counsel, her name is Beth Parker. I'm going to read you just a piece of it. Don't put up that segment yet because I'm not to that point. But Beth Parker, the chief legal counsel of the Planned Parenthood affiliates of California, wrote, "We are writing to request another meeting with the DMHC. Again, the DMHC is California Health and Human Services. That's a department of managed health care within California's agency. They want another meeting to discuss plans that are excluding abortion from their coverage." Planned Parenthood says, "We received a response from Anthem," you know, Anthem Blue Cross. "We received a response from Anthem that they believe their practices comply with the law. As a result, Loyola Marymount employees are currently paying additional premiums for the third-party coverage of abortion. Santa Clara University also has stated that it believes it can exclude elective abortions from coverage. You know what? We shouldn't have to pay, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody in the state of California, nobody in the United States of America should have to pay for somebody else who elects to have an abortion. Because usually people elect to have an abortion because they couldn't keep their legs together, or they couldn't be bothered, getting some birth control paraphernalia before having sex. So, if you're going to have sex and you don't want to get pregnant, you might want to make sure you have plenty of birth control paraphernalia available. But, a lot of people, and I've met a lot of young women that use elective abortions because they just got hot in the moment. Well, that's not my job as a taxpayer to pay for their abortion. I don't want to pay for their abortion. As far as I'm concerned, they can put their baby up for adoption because there are people standing in line in the state of California that want to adopt a baby. There are people in other parts of the country that cannot have children, would love to adopt a child. We don't need to be killing off American citizens. We don't need to be killing off children that are really a miracle. Just a miracle. I think about how God set that up, and that I think of these precious souls, each and every human being precious in the sight of God, including illegal immigrants. I just don't support them breaking our laws. I think that degrades civilization and the rule of law in societies. But I'm just saying, I think it's terrible that people would kill a baby because, as I've said before, having had miscarriages in the past, not having any children, I could hear a heartbeat at 3 weeks. 3 weeks. There's a heartbeat. So as soon as you hear the heartbeat, that is a soul, a human soul inside of you who is growing. And how can you not cherish and appreciate and love that human being? I don't know how you cannot do that. But if you can't, okay. Leave the baby at the hospital and let somebody else who's dying to have a child adopt that beautiful boy or girl. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about a new bill that just came to my attention. Now we're going from state to federal. It's called the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, S311. So just a little background. In 2002, Congress passed the Born Alive Law. Okay, I know that's years ago. Born Alive Law, which was designed to recognize a born alive child as a person. A born alive child as a person for purposes of federal law, and regardless of the viability. So, in other words, if there's a botched abortion and that baby comes out alive, this bill from 2002 did not require medical treatment for that infant, and it didn't impose penalties on doctors who allowed the child to just die over there on some table. Okay? So, S311, so this bill, this new bill, and I hope everybody calls the Democrats who are senators here in our state and every other state that's listening to this broadcast, people in every other state. I know my show goes up on iTunes and SoundCloud and is on internet, radio internet networks. So S311, this bill requires any infant that's born alive after an attempted abortion be immediately admitted to a hospital. Treat that human being as a human being, as a vulnerable, helpless human being that needs saving, that needs to be rescued. So this new bill, which is going to amend the 2002 congressional ban on, allowing a child that has been born alive to have some protection. So anyway, this let me just read you the talking points. So this bill requires an infant born alive after an attempted abortion be immediately admitted to a hospital. It's important because healthcare professionals who perform abortions should not be trusted to the care for the child. That's obvious, isn't it? I mean, hello, an abortion doctor? Why would you entrust the care of an infant that somebody had the guts to abort, to try to murder? How could you entrust a human being in the hands of that kind of a doctor? It says the penalties, also that 2002 bill didn't have any penalties. So now there would be penalties for such a thing. And I just, it doesn't tell me though what the penalties are. It says the penalties were lacking in the 2002 bill, which has resulted in the suffering of hundreds of infants who were denied care because they were destined for abortion. I'm sorry, I don't have any more information than that. If you want to look up S311, please do so. The thing that I'm reading was put out by concernedwomen.org. Concernedwomen.org. This is a Washington, D.C. organization. Check it out. Senate Bill 311. Let's provide the same degree of care to a child born alive from a botched abortion as we would a child born alive without having been put through the torture of a botched abortion. Remember, that infant feels pain by the end of the 4th month. Think about the pain you're inflicting on a helpless human being. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to take a break. We will be right back. Thank you for listening.
Has correctly stated that economic security is national security. And in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, Denice Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. Denice Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes. As well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, Denice Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of Denice Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting-edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting-edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one, putting a private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we, the private sector, are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of Denice Products. Denice Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Stratolaunch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is Anate's products that has provided the manufactured devices, and the president, Scott Baker of Anate's products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact Anate's products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873. Located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to mention to you a need that we have here in Kern County at the Kern Medical Center, KMC, out there on Flower. I think it's Flower Street. In fact, I had called. I was interested in doing it. Just really don't have the time at this point in my life. But you know, there are infants that are born that are abandoned, and they have to stay in the hospital for a while because maybe they have an illness. I want to share out with you a story. A couple years ago, a woman by the name of Liz Smith, she was the director of nursing at the Franciscan Children's Hospital. This was in, not California, this was in Massachusetts. And there was a baby born, just under 2 pounds, and she had neonatal abstinence syndrome. Nobody had visited this infant for 5 months. Nobody. So the mother and the father just didn't care about this sweet little girl. Beautiful, beautiful little girl. I'm looking at her picture. I don't know if people can see. It's just a black and white photo. Do you think people can see that? Can you do you?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Really, really angelic, beautiful little girl. Anyway, she had to be left there in the hospital, and while nobody visited her, you know, the nurses would, you know, nurses do what they can, but they're very busy. So I wanted to mention to you that here in KMC, we have those kinds of cases, and I think it would be just a wonderful thing if you have the time, and I'm thinking particularly retired individuals, if you have the time and you can drop in at Kern Medical Center and maybe just hold an infant that's been abandoned there at the hospital, and they're in, you know, that infant is in the process of, you know, the county trying to find a home. You know, these children need to be, these infants need to be held. They need to have human touch. They need to understand what love is. They need to be fed. There's a lot to babies. And so I wanted to mention that if you have the time and the strength and you can do that, please let the staff know at Kern Medical Center. They're in the pediatrics. I guess it would be the pediatrics. I just, as I said, I called and I asked to speak to a nurse and told her what I was interested in doing. Apparently, there's a little bit more to it. I think you have to take a short, just a brief little class and go through an interview process. As an educator, I'm already fingerprinted and have been checked by the FBI, of course, numerous times for my work. But anyway, just wanted to let you know that this woman, Liz Smith, wound up adopting this beautiful little baby when I believe she was 9 months old, and just a beautiful end of a very sad story, and I was just so glad. Anyway, So there you have it. And I want to change subjects now. I wanted to mention today that for those of you that don't know, and the president doesn't write about this, but the president of the United States, unlike any other president I've ever known of, donates his presidential salary, which is $400,000. So the president donates his yearly salary to different agencies throughout the year. And part of his salary has been donated to the Department of Homeland Security. And for those of you that, seem to have a problem with the president's concern about vetting people that are coming into the country illegally, again, I ask you to consider how important it is that people understand that the United States of America is set apart, is unique and special, more special than many other countries around the globe, because it's not about who's in power, but it's about following the rule of law. And the rule of law states that we, according to Congress, we allow over approximately a million people, maybe slightly under that each year, to come into the country legally. But please understand that when you allow people to take that step and break our law, oftentimes what happens is they then break other laws. For example, identity fraud, going on food stamps, receiving welfare benefits. It's as though one thing leads to another because they've opened up the door to breaking the law in the first instance, so they break the law in the second and third and fourth instance, even though they're here illegally and they don't have really a right to our social services. Although, we provide their children an education free of charge, and there are clinics and hospitals available like KMC that helps the indigent, right? Or helps, I'm not quite sure how all that happens, but I know it does because I've talked to people that have benefited from that. I've talked to people that are here illegally that had a child and left the child at KMC. So I think it's important to appreciate that this idea of the rule of law and also who's coming into the country. It's fine to get sentimental and think to yourself, well, all people are good people, but that's not the truth, is it? Not all people are good people, or we wouldn't have prisons that have citizens of the United States locked up as well as illegal immigrants locked up, right? So we do have foreign nationals as well as U.S. citizens in our prisons because not everybody is good. And I want to call your attention, for those of you that may have missed it in the past, there's a book that was written by Arthur Schlesinger Jr. The name of the book is called The Disuniting of America. Now remember, Arthur Schlesinger Jr. is a Democrat. He worked for a president who was a Democrat, John F. Kennedy. And in the 60s, in fact, and again in an article in 1992, this very liberal Democrat historian by the name of Arthur Schlesinger Jr. Again talked about in The Disuniting of America, the name of also his article, that multiculturalism leads to the disuniting of Americans, because then it's all about your ethnicity. It's all about, or it's all about your race. So who are you in terms of your background, ethnically, or as a person that identifies with a race of people? And I thought that's so important, because one of the things that makes America so special and great is that once we become an American citizen, that we don't divide ourselves into ethnic groups. our racial groups, but that we remain united as one people who value our democracy and the rule of law. You say, well, we're not really a democracy. We are, in the sense that people vote, and the majority of votes elect individuals to serve in office. And so Kevin McCarthy won here in our area, in Kern County. The majority of citizens voted for him, and that's why he became president. You say, well, we ought to throw out the Electoral College, because that's not about the majority vote. It is. The Electoral College is there because we have, even though California and New York are two of the largest population centers in the United States, we have all these Americans in between California and New York, and it wouldn't be fair that because we have a lot of illegals that float into California, some of which vote illegally in the federal and state and local elections, would have an opportunity to sway the election. It's called voter fraud, and it does happen. In fact, not only does that happen, but when people die, oftentimes other people will take that identity and continue to vote in that person's name. Again, that's part of voter fraud. People that move from the state fail to unenroll themselves in the voter rolls here in California and can also vote. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that maybe you're not aware of, but there's still voter fraud. And I think, and there's voter harvesting here in California, ballot harvesting, where again, the Democrats sent out a lot of individuals to knock on doors and literally vote on behalf of people whose doors they knocked on in order to sway the election. We think that's why Republicans who lost their seats in heavily Republican areas, for example, in Orange County, lost their seat, was through ballot harvesting. But having people knock on the door, I guess since the Democrats made that legal in our state, I guess Republicans now are going to have to get out into every neighborhood and help people vote Republican, because that's what the Democrats did. But getting back to my point about multiculturalism, the thing that this Democrat was saying about the fact that the United States of America's heritage is rooted in e pluribus unum, and multiculturalism belittles the unum, the oneness of America, and it glorifies the pluribus. So the thing about the liberal tradition, the liberal ideologies upon which America was founded, was individualism, not tribal groups, not ethnic groups, not racial groups, but individualism, a respect for individual ideas, ideologies, and the right to be able to discuss this in a public forum, to discuss our ideas and our values. But you know, to have people like the Mexican American Defense Legal Foundation, to have a Hispanic group sue County of Kern because we want a district here in Kern County that's solely Hispanic, that votes Hispanic. That's un-American. That's not what America is about. America is about being an American first, not being a Hispanic American, a Mexican American, a Nicaraguan American, El Salvadorian American. My people are from Estonia and Latvia and Germany and Poland. I never hyphenate my Americanism. I'm an American. If you're an American citizen, the first goal should be about what's doing right by God and country, not about some race or ethnic group. And the loyalties to that, I think, are sad, because to me, it's God and country. Some people say it's God, family, and country. Well, you know, thank God I still have my mother. Not a lot of family out there for me, but okay, God, family, and country. But yes, that's so important. But to have these groups, you know, again, an individual I talked to the other day, a student, I I think she came here illegally. I didn't ask her. I'm not supposed to, so I don't. You know, sometimes they tell me, sometimes they don't. And she says, oh, you know, you have to help me because I want to be able to take the citizenship test. I really need to know about the history and government of the United States of America. And I said, I said, where are you from? And she told me, and okay. And why do you want to become an American citizen? What is the purpose of that in your mind? She says, well, I want to be able to vote. Why? I mean, why does somebody from a foreign country want to vote in America? What is that about? Do you know why a foreign national comes to the country and the first thing out of their mouth is, well, I want to vote?
I think because in other countries they can't vote, they're not allowed to vote.
Oh, this woman's allowed to vote in her country. Yeah, women can vote. Women can vote in Mexico. Women can vote in Central America and South America. So that's not it. Anyway, I was just shocked by that a foreign national wants to vote in an American election. And, you know, what is it that you want to vote? Well, I want to vote Democrat. So I'm thinking, what happened? What happened along the way? You know, and this is so important, Democrats, is getting these illegal immigrants in here so they can build the Democrat Party. And I haven't got to the bottom of it yet. I'm looking forward to getting to the bottom of it, but what kind of propaganda? What kind of propaganda machine? Let alone there's propaganda, but what kind of machine was behind this person's thinking and that I got to get to this country and I want to vote? Most people say, well, because I want more opportunities. Well, have you thought about reforming your own country so you have opportunities there? What about fixing your own country? What about that? Isn't it better to fix your own country? You know the language, you know the customs, you understand the traditions. Isn't it better to work from inside your own country and make that country great? Build it up to be like an America, a United States of America. Just thinking out loud. Anyway, before we go, I wanted, how much time do I have?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Not going to have enough time for that. Okay. So I think I'll just close on this happy note. Came out in April. U.S. job growth remains strong. 196,000. President Trump just keeps recruiting businesses to come back to America, encouraging small and medium businesses by constantly deregulating the U.S. economy. Of course, he cut taxes for business from, I think it was 32% to, what was it, 21%, I believe. Incredible. Lowering the taxes, deregulating the economy. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics released its monthly employment situation report showing that the United States economy is continuing to boom with a strong labor market. And in addition to that, due to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, there is also more economic resurgence because we see wage growth. Wage growth, people's salaries going up. They're going up faster than they have in years. Years and years. Wage growth is at an all-time high. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday. I hope you've had a great day. If you haven't, there'll be tomorrow. We'll try to make tomorrow a better day, right? We'll just try to make it better tomorrow. We'll say our prayers right, brace ourselves for the next day, hit it again, do our best. Thank you so much for listening to the Denise Gary Show. We so appreciate you. If you can help us out financially, that would be greatly appreciated. This is an unpaid broadcast. So again, if you can make a tax-deductible contribution, and I say tax-deductible, if you make a contribution out to the Middle East Initiative by 501c3, it's tax-deductible. Send it to P.O. Box 82162, Bakersfield, California, 93380. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, before I go, I wanted to mention tomorrow, elections in Israel. Really important. These elections in Israel are important. I've got Director Dobby coming back on the broadcast. As you know, he works and lives in Jerusalem. He always goes back and forth between Congress and the Knesset. That's Israel's Congress there in Jerusalem. Always back and forth between Washington, D.C. and Jerusalem. Anyway, he will come onto our broadcast from Jerusalem. We'll be interviewing him, I think, right now it looks like Wednesday. After tomorrow's elections, we will have him on to talk about so many things that are just fascinating, about what will be happening going forward as a result of those elections, what we can begin to think about. And as you know, Lindsey Graham, one of our senators there in the United States Senate, is talking about a military pact with the State of Israel. Very interesting. I'll be talking to him about that and some of the things going on here in the United States vis-a-vis our most important strategic ally in the Middle East, Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for listening. Have a blessed and wonderful evening. We'll see you back here on the show tomorrow, 5 p.m., every day at Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you for listening to The Denice Gary Show. Intelligent Talk Media.